It's been about 5 days since I got back from Doha, and I'm still in the kind of come down state from such an intense event. I kind of want to just talk a little bit about the effort that goes into something like that, and then also something that is forgotten about quite often, which is the period of time afterwards when you have to get back to normality and back to reality and just regular life and a regular routine. And so far, I've not quite got that yet. I'm not really fully allowed. I'm not giving myself the time to be able to do that yet. As I mentioned straight away, when I got back, I went down to Leeds for the weekend. And by doing that, I kind of then lost time to get myself sorted here because, I mean, look at the state of my room right now. I've just got just clothes and my suitcase still all over the floor, which I haven't sorted out yet. And I've got like loads of washing hung up out there. I've got so much washing to get through, and I just don't have the space or capacity to do it all in one go. So having to wait for all this stuff to dry to be able to like wash the next stuff. And then once all that stuff is washed, it can go up and dry. And then there's probably a whole load of other stuff that needs to be washed. This is causing me to then like forget little basic things that I wouldn't normally forget on a day-to-day basis, particularly as I'm back into training full time now already. I'm back into coaching as well. Just little things that I just wouldn't normally miss because everything is in a state of chaos for me right now. And I think that's just part of the come down and part of like the resetting after such a major event. I mean, in terms of what went into it beforehand, let me show you this. That's on my wall. So this is something that I've very much kept to myself over the last kind of 2 months that I was prepping for Doha. And this was something that, for me, just helped to keep me on track every single day. So what I did, I started with day one. This was back in November. And it was around the time that I did my neck. I had like a little neck spasm. So I was out of training for a couple of days with my neck spasm. So the first thing on there was the daily goal was to test my neck. And then below, I would put the outcome of that day, how it's gone. And then I'd give myself something to visualize. So I'd have to visualize one of my dives before I go to sleep. And I'd also rate my day out of 10. And starting with day one onto day 2, 3, 4, the first week, I'd also have like a little quote up there, just something that I could look at and remind myself of each day so that I could stay on track. And I'd move on each week, just doing the same thing over and over. And slowly the numbers got better. Started off with a 2, got up to a 9. I never did a 10 out of 10 day because 10 out of 10 days are rare. Even my qualification day wasn't a 10 out of 10 day. These were different quotes that I had up there. This was my favourite ones. Behind the athlete you've become is a little boy who fell in love with the sport and never looked back. Die for him. Every day is another chance to make a dream come true. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Good things take time. Faster, higher, stronger. That's the slogan of the Olympics. Faster, higher, stronger. But it's not fastest, highest, strongest. That means you just got to be better. You don't have to be the best. And the best for you comes after the hardest climb. And I had a few more as well that I actually took out to Doha with me so I could continue the same process and the same routine each night before bed, just finishing my day and just reflecting on the day and setting a goal for the next day. And that was really something that got me in what felt like a really good and confident place as I saw the numbers building, the average number across the week, really, really positive compared to the start. It just shows you that everything is a process and everything's a journey. And if you just stay on track and don't panic and trust what you're doing, that you're doing all the right things and you're working hard, then good things can happen. And I'm so glad that I did that. And it resulted in something really, really positive. But when you're putting so much mental energy into this one day, literally one day of competition. The sixth, was it the sixth? The 6th of February. That was my day. That was my one day that I needed everything to go not perfect, but just right. A 70 diver prelim, 50 minutes per dive. I had to not make any major mistakes, and just try and survive it. And I did. 5 out of my 6 dives were solid and good. I'd say 1 out of those 5 was excellent, and then 1 out of my 6 was, a small drop. But even when I dropped it and I made the mistake, it wasn't a huge mistake, so I was able to get away with it and keep myself in a good position. But that was the one day that I needed everything to go well. So if the days leading up to that were this time maybe not so much filled with stress, but definitely an anticipation and a almost like waiting. You know, imagine imagine you're waiting in line and you're just slowly inching closer and closer and closer to the front, and then you get your moment, and you don't know what's going to happen in that moment. But fortunately, this time it went well, and I'm really really happy for that. But it very easily could not have gone well, and it could have gone the other way. And I could have been sitting here talking in a completely different mindset and a completely different, you know, in a completely different state, because maybe it didn't go my way, and maybe I didn't get the good position to qualify, and maybe I wouldn't be looking forward to the Paris Olympics, and maybe be talking more about just trying to see out the year with positivity and something different. But fortunately, I achieved what I wanted to achieve, and that's really, really good. But now I've got to reset and go again, because in 2 weeks' time, less than 2 weeks' time, I go to Montreal for the next competition, the World Cup, which admittedly doesn't mean as much to me as the World Championships did because of the consequences. It does mean a lot. There's a lot that I want to achieve in Montreal. There's a lot that I want to do, but it doesn't mean as much. And the energy won't be the same going into that competition, which actually could be more beneficial because I'll be more relaxed and I might be able to dive better. But what I feel right now is very, very unique. And for example, all of this is a example. This is a what's the word I'm looking for? An example of my mind right now. It just feels unorganized at the moment, and I need a bit of time to find that organization. For example, after I came back from the Commonwealth Games last year, not last year, in 2022, I landed back and it was an amazing event. I dived, I'd done one of my best performances. I had an amazing summer. I'd done so much good stuff, and I got back and my suitcase literally sat in the other room, packed still, for like 2 weeks after the games. I just couldn't bring myself to unpack the case. I couldn't bring myself to almost to let that go and to get back to normal life. And it's one of the really hardest things to do after a major event. So looking forward now as I can do to Paris and to the games that I have ahead of me. One major, 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 major important thing is that I have something to do, something to look forward to immediately after the games. I don't want to get back and have nothing to do, because that's when this happens, and that's when I just have this little lull. It's not a lull. It's not anything negative. It just feels like a little period of time where I'm not quite at my peak performance, but not quite at my normal self, and it just feels weird. But I'll get there in a couple of days' time, and I'll feel fine, and training will keep me on point, and time waits for no man. So all of a sudden, I'll be on that plane going to Montreal, ready to compete at the World Cup, and I'm going to have to help myself together because I want to perform well at the World Cup. It's an opportunity to qualify for the super final in Xi'an, which is coming up in China in April, and I'd love to be there. I really, really would love to be there. And to be there, I've got to perform well at the World Cup in Montreal, and I've got to perform well at the World Cup in Berlin. So I'll get myself ready for that.